According to one recruiting service, Alabama football no longer has any five-star recruits in the 2026 cycle. Stick around. We'll explain it to you. They're wrong. This is way offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome into Way Offsides, your spot for the most up to date, best, and dare I say, most entertaining Alabama sports talk here on YouTube. If this is your first time in, congratulations. You have found the holy grail of sports talk here on YouTube. We do everything everybody else does. We just do it a little different. We try to keep a smile on your face the whole time, and we try to be real with you. Hey, we're fans first here, just like you. So we'd be honored if you join the Way Offsides family. You can do that by hitting the subscription button. Go ahead and smash it. Smash it so hard. While you're there, leave a big roll tide in the comment section below and leave a thumbs up on this video. Helps the algorithm. You know how this works. Recruiting. We got a football season going on, but everybody loves talking recruiting, so we're going to talk some recruiting today. Alabama, I don't think they're done with their 2026 class. I think that flip season is in full swing. You've got recruits taking visits all over the place. One of Alabama's commits will actually be in Miami this weekend to watch the Hurricanes take on the Florida Gators. I'm on the fence about how I feel about this. As Tim Watt says over at Bama Online, follow the visits, and Tim is right when he says to follow the visits. I did a video on that one, so be sure to go check that out when we're done here. However, Alabama currently, and we'll go by on three right here. On three, Alabama currently has the number 7 recruiting class in the country for the 2026 cycle. Via 247, they have the number 4 class. Why are they sitting so low, you may ask? Well, that's the wrong question to ask. The question to ask is, how are they sitting that low when they're rated so high? Alabama currently has one of the top 2 highest rated recruiting classes in this cycle, but yet they're sitting lower than several other programs. Why? Well, that is because although the caliber of Alabama's commitments are higher than most people, they don't have as many commitments as others. For instance, Georgia, USC, I think, have 30 plus verbal commitments right now. We know what that looks like down the road, whether they all end up at the school that they're currently verbally committed to. At some point in time, they're going to leave via the transfer portal, which is now only one window, by the way, because playing time is just going to be very, very hard to come by. So we saw that happen with Texas A&M a few years ago. Had a historic number 1 class, and right, they're all gone. So that's what's going on there. Now, there are 3 major recruiting agencies. On 3, 247, and Rivals. On 3 and 247 are okay, but everybody does things a little differently. Everybody grades players a little bit differently. So you have these variations, these deviations in recruiting and rankings and blah, blah, blah. And so typically fans go with whatever recruiting service ranks them higher. Right now, that would be 247. Well, according to 247, Alabama has 5 5-star commits right now. That's going to be Xavier Crowell, Xavier Griffin, Jordan Edmonds, Jaira Edwards, and Cedarian Morgan. According to On 3, they have 4. They have all the same ones, except they have Xavier Crowell as a 4-star. Well, Rivals has none of Alabama's players listed as 4 stars right now via their algorithm, their formula that they use to rank players. Nobody in Alabama's class is a 5-star. In fact, out of the whole 2026 cycle, there's only, let's say, wide receivers, for instance, there's only 1 5-star wide receiver, and that is Jace Matthews, who is currently committed to Auburn. Now, we're talking about a class that has Cedarian Morgan and Tristan Keys in it. It's a pretty faulty system. And that's not to knock Auburn. Jace Matthews is a great wide receiver, but Rivals, their system is a joke. Now, I thought that once Rivals was acquired by On3, like it was this past year, that maybe the algorithm would be updated. It would, just be a better product, and it's not. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've dropped Xavier Griffin as a 4-star. Everybody, Jaira Edwards, Jordan Edmonds, all 4 stars via Rivals. Now, what's interesting is if you go to Rivals, which is actually an On3 website, and you go to their recruiting rankings, they still have Alabama listed as having 4 5-star recruits. Why? Well, composite rankings is why. The Rivals composite ranking takes into account rankings from other agencies, those owned by On3 and others like 247. In the composite rankings, Alabama still has, according to the Rivals composite, 4 5-star recruits. Now, I say this with caution, but it would not be surprising if some of these agencies took payments to bump up recruits or to list certain recruits who are committed to a certain program as higher rated. It's a business, and money talks, money makes things happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was going on, just because it's so jacked that, I mean, you go to Rivals right now. In fact, you know what? Let's do that. We're going to do that right now. So we'll go over here. Let's bring it up on the screen so you can see it, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, and you can judge for yourself, right? So let's do that. So here on the screen, you can see we have Rivals, right? Alabama's currently listed at number 7. Don't mind the Starbucks ad, with 4 5 stars. It's amazing, right? Let's click on Alabama. Look at that rating, by the way. Very good rating for their class. Of course, it's going to take forever. Now, this is what I'm talking about. What you guys are seeing online. I'm getting a lot of DMs about this. This is what we're talking about. 247 and ESPN both have Jyra Edwards listed as a 5-star here, right? Rivals has him listed as a 1, 2, 3, 4-star. Now, those rankings we just looked at belong to Rivals. Sadarius Morgan listed as a 5-star via 247. Xavier Griffin, 5-star, 247. ESPN has them both as 4 stars. Rival has them both as 4 stars. Same thing with Jordan Edmonds, except ESPN. You can see what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of variation in what goes on with these recruiting rankings. A lot. Okay. So it's nothing. Look, I get it. For those of you who are active on social media, especially X, you're having to deal with a lot of trolls. I had an Ohio State fan a couple days ago that pretty much was like, where, they posted the 300 and Alabama has no 5-star players, right? For Rivals in Rivals 300. And Ohio State fan goes like, where's Bama? Well, I'll show you where Bama is. Bama is currently sitting 2 spots above you with 4 5-star commitments to your 1 and a higher rated class. That's where Alabama is. Oh, Auburn fans are laughing because Rivals jacked up formula doesn't have Sadarius Morgan listed as a 5-star. Well, let's keep scrolling. Enjoy your 1 5-star and enjoy your 31 place recruiting ranking. That's going to change. Auburn's going to land a couple of more before it's said and done. And Alabama will probably drop, because I do think that they are on the verge, on the cusp of potentially losing one of their defensive commitments. Again, did a video on that. However, I think Alabama stands to gain a couple, just like everybody else's flip season. So keeping an eye, following visit, seeing who Alabama gets on campus will be very important as the season goes on. And guess what? We'll do that for you here, and we'll tell you what's going on, what we think. We're not always right. It's recruiting. It's a fluid thing. It's constantly changing, especially with NIL being involved. However, again, if a lot of you that follow the channel and are subscribed are pretty savvy when it comes to recruiting, but for those of you who aren't, there's no perfect model for ranking these kids. But overall, especially in today's age, a top 10 class is a top 10 class. Okay. And Alabama, their approach right now, because of the NIL factor, has been to collect talent or recruit talent. So I'm going to say collect, because we're obviously using NIL money to pay these kids, but to collect talent that fits the need, not just grabbing everybody that's available, because what happens long term, you can't keep up with the NIL if you do it that way. So I think Alabama's approach is smart. Kids are not going to stack rosters like they used to. You're still going to have the same players in the top 10 every year: Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, USC, Texas schools. Like that. That's still going to be the case every single year. However, there'll be some variance in terms of who finishes where. Right now, look at Texas Tech coming out of nowhere because of NIL, and they're probably well on their way to finishing with the number one class in the 2027 cycle. So a lot of stuff's going to change in recruiting. But if you're looking for an agency to follow, there's not one particular that's good. 247 is okay until but the problem is they don't update their rankings till later in the fall. On3 pushes out the most information that's up to date, but they're also in charge of that rivals model that we're talking about. So take your pick. Better yet, just stick around and talk with us in the chat. You join one of our live shows where we're talking about recruiting. It seems like the chat is on top of it. They follow recruiting very, very closely. And so you can get all your information right here at Way Offsides. We've got it for you. Again, we're not always right, but when we are, it damn sure feels good. Thanks for sticking around with me. It's Cotton. Leave a comment below. I love reading them. And as always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.